What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. Today we are doing a camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the brand new LG G7. Now, as we all know, both these phones are pretty expensive, so the expectations are pretty high as well. On the back of the S9 Plus we have two cameras, but we are only gonna talk about one camera, the main camera, because the second camera is a zoom lens, and on the LG G7 we have a wide lens as a second camera, so we can't really compare a zoom lens with a wide lens. And of course this will depend on your preference, because some people may love the zoom lens over the wide lens or the other way around. So the main camera, it's a 12 megapixel sensor with a variable aperture, so it can either be a f1.5 or a f2.4 depending on how much light you have whenever you're taking pictures. Of course you can always use the manual mode and then you can choose whatever aperture you need. And moving to the LG G7, on the back of that one, the main camera, it's a 16 megapixel sensor with a f1.6, and of course both devices have optical image stabilization as well. Before I start showing you pictures, I want to show you some video recordings that I've done with both these devices. So the S9 Plus, you can record in 4K at 60 frames per second. However, you don't get image stabilization for 4K recordings at 60 frames per second. So you only get image stabilization for 4K at 30 frames per second. With the LG G7, we don't even get 4K at 60 frames per second, so you can only choose 4K at 30 frames per second. But unfortunately, we don't get image stabilization for 4K recordings with the LG G7, which is kind of a shame if you ask me. Now, even though the image stabilization is getting better every year, it's still far from perfect. So if you're serious about your image stabilization, you're probably better off to buy a 3-axis gimbal, and there will be a massive difference in between the footage that you're gonna get just by holding the phone in your hand and the footage that you're gonna get from a gimbal. And you can find the gimbal these days for around $150. So yeah, if you're serious about the image stabilization, definitely buy a gimbal. Alright, so let's check out some 4K recordings that I've done with the S9 Plus and the LG G7, and after that we're gonna check out some 1080p videos that I've done as well with both devices. Alright, so we are recording with the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the LG G7 in 4K. Now, unfortunately, the G7 doesn't seem to have image stabilization for 4K recordings, where the S9 Plus has image stabilization for 4K recordings. Now, it may not be that great on the S9 Plus either, but I'd rather have some than none. So this is how a 4K video from these devices looks like. For our next quick test, we are recording in 1080p at 30 frames per second, and at 1080p at 30 frames per second both devices have image stabilization. I guess it works a bit better than the image stabilization that we had for 4K recordings with the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. So if you'd be to record in 1080p, this is how a video would look like from both devices. And as you've seen for yourself, the recordings from the S9 Plus seem to be a bit better and a bit crispier. However, I do like the sound recordings from the LG G7 more than the S9 Plus. But again, that's just my opinion. What do you think about it? Next, we're gonna check out some daytime pictures that I took with both these devices. All the pictures were taken a couple of seconds apart. Now you're gonna notice that the pictures taken with the S9 Plus are a bit overexposed, but we've seen this in the past multiple times. But then you're gonna notice that the pictures taken with the HDR mode by the G7 aren't as sharp as the one taken by the S9 Plus. So both devices are good for certain things, but not for all the things. So let me show you guys the pictures that I took with both these devices. So what do you think? Which device takes better pictures in daytime? Now, some of the pictures I prefer from the S9 Plus, but some other pictures I prefer from the LG G7. So really I can't say that this one is better than this one or this one is better than that one. So very close, but definitely the HDR pictures taken with the S9 Plus were better. Now we're moving to some pictures taken in low light conditions, and for the low light condition pictures I believe that the S9 Plus is definitely the winner. But let's check out those pictures. And as you've seen, for low light the S9 Plus takes way better pictures in my opinion. But what do you think? Which device do you think takes better pictures in low light and overall for daytime and nighttime? Now, me personally, I prefer the S9 Plus over the G7. Now, the G7 takes some really good looking pictures during the day, and some of them are actually better than the pictures that I took with the S9 Plus. But overall I would still choose the S9 Plus because I believe it has the better cameras. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.